Hello, I am Dr. Sevoca Glass Jr., and welcome to JustiCore Consulting. The phrase defunding the police gained national prominence in 2020 amid heightened scrutiny of law enforcement practices and public demands for accountability. Despite its widespread use, the term itself is often misunderstood and interpreted in multiple ways depending on political, social, and professional perspectives. For some, it represents a call for the complete dismantling of traditional policing structures. For others, it is more accurately understood as a strategic reallocation of resources, shifting certain responsibilities away from law enforcement and towards specialized community services such as mental health professionals, social workers, and crisis intervention teams. At the center of this debate is a foundational question within criminal justice. What combination of resources, strategies, and institutional roles most effectively produces public safety while maintaining ethical standards and community trust? This question is not theoretical. It has immediate implications for policy decisions, agency operations, and the lived experiences of communities across the United States. Proponents of defunding argue that police departments have become overextended, frequently tasked with responding to situations that fall outside the traditional scope of law enforcement. These include mental health crises, substance abuse issues, homelessness, and other social challenges. From an evidence based standpoint, there is growing support for alternative response models. For example, crisis intervention teams composed of trained mental health professionals have demonstrated the ability to de escalate situations without resorting to arrest or force. This aligns with broader criminological principles, emphasizing prevention, early intervention, and addressing root causes of criminal behavior. Additionally, advocates emphasize that reallocating funding toward education, housing, employment opportunities, and community development may produce long term reductions in crime. This perspective is consistent with theories such as social disorganization theory and strain theory, which suggest that structural inequalities and limited access to legitimate opportunities contribute to criminal behavior. In this view, investing in communities is not separate from public safety, it is central to it. However, critics of defunding raise significant concerns regarding both the short term and long term consequences of reducing police funding. One of the primary arguments is that law enforcement agencies require adequate resources to maintain rapid response capabilities, conduct investigations, and ensure public order. Reductions in funding, particularly if implemented rapidly or without a structured transition plan, may lead to staffing shortages, slower response times, and decreased proactive policing efforts. These changes could potentially create conditions in which crime rates increase or public confidence declines. There are also concerns related to implementation. While the concept of reallocating responsibilities is theoretically sound, the effectiveness of such policies depends heavily on execution. If alternative systems, such as mental health response units or community based programs, are not fully developed, properly funded, and integrated into emergency response frameworks, gaps in service delivery may emerge. This highlights a critical principle in criminal justice policy. Successful reform requires not only sound ideas, but also careful planning, coordination, and evaluation. An additional layer of complexity involves the influence of political narratives. The phrase defunding the police itself has become highly polarized, often reducing a nuanced policy discussion into a binary choice. From a JustiCore perspective, this is where the importance of evidence based practice becomes paramount. Effective criminal justice strategies should be guided by empirical data, program evaluation, and measurable outcomes rather than rhetoric or public pressure. Frameworks such as the risk need responsivity model and evidence based policing emphasize targeted interventions, efficient resource allocation, and adherence to program fidelity. These principles suggest that the most effective approach is not necessarily to eliminate funding, but to ensure that resources are used in ways that maximize impact. This may include enhancing police training, improving accountability mechanisms, and investing in complementary services that address non criminal issues. Real world applications of defunding policies have produced mixed results. Some jurisdictions have successfully implemented alternative response models and reported reductions in certain types of calls for service. Others have reversed funding cuts after encountering challenges related to crime rates or operational capacity. These varied outcomes reinforce the importance of context. What works in one jurisdiction may not produce the same results in another, underscoring the need for localized, data driven decision making. Ultimately, the debate over defunding the police is not simply about budgets, it is about redefining the role of law enforcement within a broader system of public safety. It requires balancing accountability with effectiveness, reform with stability, and innovation with practicality. For criminal justice professionals, the key is to move beyond slogans and engage with the evidence, asking critical questions about what strategies produce the best outcomes for both individuals and communities. Once again, I am Dr. Sevoca Glass Jr., and thank you for joining us. Remember, in criminal justice, evidence matters, integrity matters, justice demands both.